Hi there, and welcome to another episode. I hope you have had a good week. I am up at the Gold Coast, just about to fly out to head back home. I was at a legal conference this week, which was pretty cool. I was here last year as well, and I have come back for this year. So multitasking before I head to the airport, and the lighting is a bit dodgy in here. Sorry, did try to give you a ocean view, but it was too much light, so I've had to close the blinds. But the past few weeks we have been going through some tips to help you through your family law matter. Really, it's interchangeable for anything. It's not just if you're going through a family law matter. But this week is just the hidden support system every family law client needs, or people need in general, but nobody seems to talk about. And I'm a little bit down on my techie today. So I am looking down at my phone to my notes so I don't forget anything. So obviously, as you know, I've got a fair bit of experience with lots of different things. So I am a lawyer, been admitted for 15 years, been in the game for about 20 years. I am a certified mindfulness instructor. I'm now a clinical hypnotherapist. So I've done a lot of learnings outside of the legal realm, because to me it's just not enough to be a lawyer anymore. I just, for a long time, and COVID was probably the tip of the iceberg for us, it's that you can no longer just be a lawyer. There are so many other things going on with our clients. And when you have clients who have suicided, you know, I'm not saying that we could have prevented them or anything like that, but if there are more things that we can do from our end to help people through that transition, and there weren't only just family law clients, it was a mixture of just, you know, there were conveyancing clients, there was a wills and estate client. So, you know, it's not just in family law matters where people, you know, are struggling with their mental health. So if there is more things that I can do for whether they're clients of ours or just anyone listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, then, you know, I feel like that I've helped you in some way, and hopefully given you some tips to help you go through whatever it is you're going through. And that's why this podcast isn't just all about the legal side. We try and have as many people as we can on the podcast to, you know, of relevance to you. You know, we have clients who have small businesses, so sometimes we have people chatting about small business. So as I said, the podcast is not just specifically about law or family law. It's about anything that I can think of that is relevant. And I can also obviously see what people like. We can see the views that we have like per podcast. So I base our episodes and that as well. People will come to me and say, hey, can you do an episode on this? So obviously if there's anything that you would like a podcast done on, please reach out to us so we can schedule it. And we can help you in any way that we can. But this week is about the hidden support system. So I go into this in a fair bit of detail in my Empowered Separation program. I do chat about this a little bit on and off. So again, today is just a short, brief, you know, tips and tricks that you can incorporate. But I do go into this more in my Empowered Separation if you are going through a family law separation. So a lot of people don't think that support is needed, or they think that the support is just going to be there. You need to make sure that you have the right support. So whether that's your family law matter, whether that's going through, you know, life changes of some sort, whatever it might be, having that right support team is going to make all the difference. It's no difference in me having different coaches. So I have multiple different businesses. I have legal, I have financial, like I have mortgage broking business. I have like the coaching aspect. I have people on my team. Your sports stars have people on their team. So like us and them, you need people on your team as well. You need to have the right people on your team, though, not the wrong people. So, you know, the first part is why traditional support usually falls short. So generally that's family and friends. So especially if you're going through a separation, you might find that people divide. You might find all of a sudden that you had all these friends and then someone's taken the other person's side and then you're on your own. Or you have that friend or that family member or that person, you know, you thought that you could trust is going off and telling your ex or somebody else about what you're saying. So, and that's obviously not going to help you. A lot of friends and family are too emotionally involved as well. So they might not be able to help you see through something or reason with you if you were so, you know, caught up on something, or if you had a family member that says you are entitled to 50-50 or like 90-10, that advice is probably just random advice that they have made up. And if that's something that's going to get stuck in your head, it's going to be really hard for you to get advice from somebody, say, well, I don't know where you got that information from, but 90/10 is probably likely not going to happen. So need to be really, really careful with that. And unintentionally giving incorrect legal advice, which is pretty well just what I just said. Just because their neighbor next door had this property settlement, this amazing property settlement, or this shit property settlement, doesn't mean yours is going to be the same. And I heard a saying the other week is like every separation, every divorce is like a snowflake. They're all different. So just you can't base your separation or your divorce on somebody else, because it's not your divorce, it's not your matter. They are all different. And yeah, and again, taking the sides. So you will find that people will take sides. It is what it is. I wouldn't be going to try and save those relationships if that's the decisions that they have made. See you later. Like, I don't want you in my life if you're going to do that. So don't consider that to be, something you need to feel bad about. You might feel hurt that has happened, but clearly they are people you don't need in your life. So I wouldn't be stressing about it at all. I talk about this a fair bit, and I heard a term for it the other week, which was called the Facebook lawyers. So going into those Facebook groups, posting something and getting advice from people who are not qualified to give legal advice. I talk about this a fair bit. Please do not go on social media in a Facebook group full of people who, don't know what they're doing, or they may hate men or may hate women or whatever it is, and post a question in there. You will get a range of comments. They are probably going to be shit. They are probably all going to be negative, and it'll probably all be wrong advice unless someone has specifically said, hey, I'm a lawyer in this field. This is my comment. Or usually you should just go, hey, I'm a lawyer. Reach out to me if you want something else. So you don't start anything. But please don't go into those Facebook lawyers or take Facebook lawyer advice, because it is highly probably not going to be correct, and it'll probably stress you out even more. So do not recommend that you post that stuff online. I don't know anyone who has benefited from it. Like, it might be, hey, do you have suggestions for a family lawyer or something? That's probably different. And then if you get those suggestions, you need to make sure that that family lawyer is somebody who you can connect with. You need to make sure that that lawyer is in line with your values and how you want that matter to progress, and who's going to listen to you and give you all the options and everything like that. So there's a process in relation to picking a lawyer as well, which I go into more depth in my program, but I don't have time to go through everything. So social media groups, please don't. It's going to increase your anxiety. It's going to make you more confused. It may, that's good English. It may stop you from even doing something, and if you are in a DV relationship and you're staying in that relationship because you've just had advice from Facebook lawyers, that's probably not, a very wise thing to do. Your priority is safety. It's not staying in the home to collect documents or anything like that. It's safety for yourself and your kids if you have kids. So I'd highly suggest you stay away from the Facebook lawyers. So you need some strategic support. So again, I go into this in much more detail in my program, but basically, you will have your legal team. So, there are different things you need to consider when you're looking for your lawyer team or your legal team, and what you want in that legal practice, or in that, in that person that you're trusting with your family law matter. You might want a mental health professional. So you may need a counselor or a psych, depending on where you are. There are a number of online services as well if you're not mentally well. So Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Talk to Me Bro, all those type of online places that you can go on. Some of them are text as well, so people don't like talking on the phone. I'm quite certain that some of those you can text, have a texting conversation instead of a conversation on the phone. So you have those people as well. Financial advisors and accountants come in handy as well. So depending on what we're looking at, we'll either work with the people's or the client's financial team. So whether that's a financial advisor or an accountant. If they don't really have one or they're not happy with them, we will kind of go, all right, these are the people that we know, like, and trust, that we have used before for clients. Do you have a feel for any of these people? And we'll make sure that, tax is minimized as much as possible. Sometimes it might not be in someone's best interest to receive X amount because that's going to cause a capital gains effect or something like that. So it might be that we need to come up with another solution for those clients. So the accounting side and the financial advice side is very, very important, and they come in handy as well. Or more the financial advisor is that you'll need to get insurances changed post separation. So that is really helpful as well. Additional support services. So if there's DV, if you need housing assistance, I know rentals can be really, really hard depending on what your area is. I know like here in the Hunter Valley, it's quite difficult. I know there's a lot of people struggling to get the accommodation that they need. And unfortunately, I can't make properties appear out of nowhere, but there's obviously things that we can try and help you with to try and get that property for you, together with those services as well, like, Carrie's Place or Jenny's Place, who, have that connection, and sometimes they have houses available for people that need it short term so they can, get on their feet and get their own property. So, but I do know that, the accommodation side is something that's really difficult, and I can appreciate that. Creating a support schedule. So work out kind of what support that you need. So from your lawyer, clients' needs are different. It's also sometimes unreasonable to expect your lawyer to respond within 3 seconds or, an hour, like if they're in court, if they're in a meeting, if whatever it might be. So we set expectations at the start, I suppose. So, if you don't hear from me, you may hear from my assistant. If I'm not available, Jen will be able to help you out. We will provide you updates weekly when something comes in, when whatever it is. So you need to make sure that the expectation with yourself and your lawyer is right, well, this is when we will communicate. And you have to remember that you're likely going to be charged each time that your lawyer is contacting you. So you have to think from an economical point of view, do I really want that much contact? Because I've probably just paid $100 for an email that says nothing because nothing has happened. So be really careful of that aspect as well. If you need accounting appointments or your financial appointments, work out what is needed for that. If you have a meeting with a lawyer coming up, but you had to meet with a financial advisor first, obviously there's no point going to the legal appointment saying, oh, no, I haven't done that yet, because you've, again, just paid money that you didn't need to pay. Make sure you do whatever you need to do before that next meeting, so you're not wasting money on just not getting stuff done, like put the meeting back or whatever it might be. And obviously, if you have a counsellor or a psych, work out the appointments that suit you for that as well. But again, note that in between those appointments, you do have those online services as well, so you are not alone. Protecting your energy is really important. So I've gotten much better at that. And this is not just for a divorce, family, or separation. It's protecting your energy for anything and with anyone. This is so, so, so important, and easily could be, a topic in itself, but you need to protect your energy. So you need to be really careful who you are sharing information with. As I said before, if you are trusting someone and then you've told somebody all this information and they've gone back to your ex, that is not a person that you want to trust. You need to be careful what you say as well. So if you're really bagging your ex out and that goes back to your ex, that's going to set the tone for how your divorce is going to go, and it's probably not going to be positive. So you need to be really, really careful. Do not say anything in front of your children. That is just such a big no-no. If they are older and adults, maybe, but definitely if they are kind of, at school still, I definitely would not be saying anything in front of them. They just don't need that additional stress, and you don't want them have to feel that they have to pick between a parent. And you know what, just stay silent if you need to, and get that support from somebody who is not so close within your circle. I know that, if you need to vent, I'll tell my clients, hey, vent at me, say whatever you want at me. There is nothing that I have not heard before, or I challenge you to say something that I haven't heard before. I'd much rather than vent at me. I know it's not personal, but I don't want them then going and sending that text or venting at their ex and just totally derailing the matter. So if you find that you need to verbally, abuse somebody, I tell my clients, do it at me. I know it's not personal because I'm just telling you to take it out of me. Scream into a pillow. It might be that you need to go for a walk. You might need to go for a surf. You might need to read, have a bubble bath, whatever it might be. Just be really, really careful how you react, because that may not go in your favor as well. I'm not saying you have to bottle everything up, but you just need to be really careful as to when that happens and who that happens with. What else did I have? Social media. So, you might have to, please don't put anything on social media. All it takes is a screenshot to get in the hands of the wrong person. And again, that can derail your family law matter. It's just not worth it. Change passwords if you need to. What else? Mutual connections. So, if you do have mutual connections on Facebook or on social media, be really careful what you put in there. I literally would not be putting anything. I would not be sharing your dirty laundry online. I don't think it's needed, but if you do that, just know there are going to be consequences of that if you do that. Professional boundaries, so setting to line with not overstepping the line, so not trying to be unreasonable with right. So if I call you at 8 o'clock at night, you need to answer. We're most likely with our kids, putting them to bed, or doing something with them before they go to bed. That's just not reasonable. If you have a lawyer that does that, okay, no, most lawyers are probably not going to have that boundary because they have boundaries themselves and they need to recover from the day just as much as you. Have some emergency protocols in there if you need to. So again, if you may be in a DB situation or your mental health has spiraled, make sure you found a service that that you can call, like Beyond Blue or something that that you can call, and you're going to feel comfortable enough for them to kind of help you manage that situation. So to wrap up, I guess just have some action steps in mind. So maybe do a bit of a support audit. So write down there, maybe the people that you used to have in your life, see if they are still useful. That's probably not the right word. See if they are still the right support network for you. If they're not, you probably need to swap some people out. Identify any gaps that you might have. So if you need a counsellor but you don't have a counsellor, you might want to start making inquiries for that as well. Again, making sure that you're finding people who are aligned with your values and that you're comfortable with. There's no point trying to start a relationship with somebody spending a shit ton of money and you dreading going there because they're just not your vibe. So that is really, really important in anything that you do. And routines are really, really good. So if you try and set a routine for yourself, so whether that's when you have kids or you don't have the kids, whether you need that little bit of self-care, it could be like 5 minutes in the morning of like meditation or like gratitude or, whatever it might be. Just make sure that you establish some routines. Being really organized also helps. It really diminishes the stress levels if you are organized. I try and prep for the next day, the night before, as much as I can. So school lunches are done, uniforms are all ironed. I've picked what I'm going to wear so I don't have to wake up in the morning and be stressing whether we don't have a school uniform or I don't know what I'm going to wear or anything like that. So I do find organization really, really does help. And like to use an example, yesterday, so I'm flying back from the Gold Coast today. Usually I would do my click and collect on a Saturday. Today is Saturday. And I came home last night. It was about like 11 o'clock. I'm like, I can't be bothered doing my groceries. I just do them online. And I'm like, you know what? If I don't do them now, I'm going to have the shits when I have to come back from the airport, physically go into Woolworths, do my groceries, and then go home. So I spent that 10 minutes going through my shopping list, adding it there. When you click, when your shopping order is pretty well the same thing every week, it honestly took me about 10 minutes. So when I woke up this morning, I'm like, right, cool, I got to pack up my room. I'll do this quick podcast. I'll go to the airport. I'll do some stuff in the lounge. I'll arrive at Newcastle Airport. I'll go via Woolworths, pick up my groceries, then I'm home, and then I'm done. So just sometimes taking that extra 5 or 10 minutes will make the next day a lot easier. And I'm really happy that I did that because I really don't think I can be bothered doing the grocery shopping this afternoon. And I certainly don't want to do it tomorrow when it's Mother's Day. So I guess, there are so many different things. And my aim is to not overwhelm you. It's to go, right, here are some suggestions, take them, don't take them, modify them, whatever you like. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right. You might not agree with it. You might not feel comfortable with it. That is completely fine. But hopefully out of that list, I have given you something to possibly think about. And if you've already started to make those changes, then awesome, great. If you haven't, that is completely okay. I know it's really, really overwhelming, but it's just going to help you so much with what you're going through, and you're just going to have clarity and you're going to know who you can turn to so you're not alone. So Next week we have our final tip. As I said, it was too much to put into one podcast. I'm glad I didn't, because they're about half hour in length. So we'll have our final tip next week. Other than that, I don't think I have anything on my list to mention. I think I have mentioned everything on my list. I don't think I've missed anything, but obviously, of course, if you need further help, you do have my program, Empowered Separation, which we go into so much more detail than what we do on our podcast. And obviously, there's more resources and things like that. So you can click on the link and learn more about that. And just thank you for listening. If you have any comments or any questions, please reach out and I will be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you found this podcast useful, and I will catch you next time. See you guys.